He then had his second son, which he had called Ephraim, for God had caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Okay, so first son was given Manasseh, which helped Joseph forget his toil. And the second son was called Ephraim, which was, even in the land of his affliction, God had blessed him and be fruitful. Right? So then the 7 years of plenteous that was in the land of Egypt had ended. So the 7 years of plenty had ended, and the 7 years of drought began to come, according as Joseph said. And the drought was in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So that's 54. So we read, and then we read on that when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go unto Joseph, what he saith you do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. So over all the face of the earth was the famine, but yet there was bread in Egypt. And when the people came to Pharaoh crying for food, he said, Go to Joseph, ask Joseph, and whatever he tells you to do, ye shall do. And all the countries came into Egypt to Joseph to buy corn, because the famine was so sore in all the lands. So all the lands in and around Egypt came to Joseph, who was in Egypt, in the place of his affliction, in the strange place where he was afflicted, where he was wrongfully imprisoned, where he was sold to as a slave by his own brothers. So in the same place they came to him, the new prime minister of Egypt, Joseph, also named Zapaniah-Phaneah, all the people came to him that they may have food and bread, because Joseph was given rule over the entire house of Pharaoh, as well as all the land of Egypt. And he did what according to God had told him to do. So God told Joseph that you were going to have 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. In the 7 years of plenty, you need to store up, grow as much as you can, and store up all the food for the 7 years of famine. And Joseph did that. So we see, brothers and sisters, that the amount of trials that Joseph went through. Now we're going to look at his age. Now we see roughly Joseph was about 17 years old when he was sold into slavery. Okay, about 17 years old, 13 years as a slave, and then he was 30 years old. So 13 years that he was a slave and a prisoner, and he was 30 years old, 30, when he stood before Pharaoh. So 13 years Joseph went through trial, prayed, and obeyed and trusted God. At the age of 30, his reward was given.